I'm gonna sit off to the right. That way.
You just put it on my head.
That's what I did. The problem is I can't get the window to fit exactly, and I want to make sure it's somewhat legible. So I'm just
Oh,
letting
I
this.
see.
I'm just letting this go on.
Okay. All right. This is gonna take me quite a long time. I'm sorry,
Oh God. I hope you
but this
understand.
is
I
a
will be
lot of.
asking questions along the way. I'm not just gonna let you rant for an hour.
Yeah, I expect you to like say, I don't care for your point there or something. That's the
Okay.
point of it. But the way I'm gonna start it is I said this all to Brandon to practice my thoughts. No joke. So now I can concisely say it a little better. And the way I'm going to argue for why I think imports are okay is I want to start off with laying down the things that we can't fix, which is obvious, which is we can't fix solo queuing because Riot has just chosen not to fix that. And we can't fix our current player base's skill. We can't just make it better overnight. So it's going to take time. So I fully accept that imports are a band-aid solution to a
Okay.
much deeper problem.
As long
That
as
is,
we've accepted that up front, I'm willing to argue
yeah,
the
like they are a
afterwards.
band-aid solution. I don't think imports are a forever thing to solve issues. Now, the way I'm going to go is basically I'm going to start with Season 3 Worlds. The reason I'm starting here is because, as you'll see as it goes, it gets to the big season of LMQ, which everyone uses as our import team that did whatever. Season 3 Worlds, NA already at the last Worlds had produced better than this year, and this was the first year that NA teams did not get out of groups. So I think it's an important year that we stunk at. I mean, Cloud9 got a freebie out of groups, but then they ended up losing a best of 3. So NA, in all reality, did not win really anything here other than getting a freebie to the quarterfinals and losing there as well. So that is
Okay.
the first year that NA just doesn't look great and it's tough. So then we go and we look at Team Vulcan, which was the other team that went to this year, and they were all NA players. I actually wanted to look this up and see. They were all NA players except their support, who was Bulgarian, but he had NA residency, so they were an all NA squad as well. Then we
Okay.
go to that spring season, and I would say it's legitimately one of the most standard spring seasons we see over the course. If you're going to tell me in a historical season, it's pretty standard. Cloud9 TSM at the top, CLG at third, Curse and Dig are up there, and yeah, XDG Co-Star on the bottom. We go to playoffs, we see how everyone did in playoffs, and Cloud9 wins, TSM gets second, CLG is third, and Curse is fourth. That's the Curse fourth meme. So that's how it goes, always. Then we
Okay.
go to the All-Star Challenge, and we're like, oh man, what happened at the All-Star Challenge? Did NA overperform? Did they perform decent? Actually, they did pretty well. But NA always seems to do well at the mid-season events. That seems to be where we
Yeah,
shine.
the
And this was
things that
mid-season.
aren't as important as worlds, we do better.
Yep. And we did good yet again. We got out of groups. We ended up losing to OMG, but I mean a 3-1 record in the group stage, honestly, pretty good for NA. Call that a win. Then we go to what I think is a huge factor in LCS for 2014 and what led to our probably, possibly best Worlds run ever. I would say it's 2014. Is my Discord like spam pinging for you?
No,
Okay,
no,
then we're
I
good.
can't hear anything.
I'll keep going. The
I'm really curious as to how the hell you're gonna
qualifier
make
rounds
this.
for that for promotion series
Okay.
make what?
How you're gonna make
Make what
this
argument? Oh, are you?
this this season specifically to be the most impactful?
Oh, of why an import team helps in a?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how I'm doing it. We'll get there. It's really long. You can see we still got a lot of tabs to go, baby.
Oh
But
God.
LMQ comes in from Chinese Challenger Series. This team wasn't even a pro team in China. We got to remember that. These
Okay.
guys weren't even pros. They were challengers. They come in, they 3-0 XDG, our former world's team. They 3-0 them in the promotion series, and they get to LCS. which is pretty sick. I mean, we see a Cloud9 Tempest sister team didn't make it, and Complexity makes it too, which is pretty awesome. Love to see that. Love to probably. But then
You're cutting out, just so you know.
did that one. Give me the overview, you scumbags. All right. First season of your Chinese team. Oh, hello. Am I
Yeah,
good?
yeah, you're good now.
Okay, cool. I'm just gonna start shutting the tabs. Then it could be all the tabs, because Google Chrome is a monster. Uh,
Nice
those
background.
two. There we go. Thank you. All right. Now here is a very important season, IMO, that is what shows a lot, is that summer LCS season. LMQ got second, straight from that Challenger series. They get second place, which is pretty dope. Like, you can tell they put obviously a pretty big impact on the league, and they shifted it. They moved CLG down and Curse down one, and TSM and Cloud9 are still in the same spot. So overall, from spring, we have close to the same look of teams. We have Dig here and all that. It's just you're getting rid of some worse than A players for a full Chinese squad. Is all you're really doing.
Agreed. I think the
And
important
then we
context
come to
to add here before we continue further, though, is that the
you're good.
Chinese League of Legends infrastructure during the time of which LMQ came over here was not the same as it is now. So while this looks good in hindsight, and I agree with everything that you're saying so far, it is important to know that you could there is a distinction between a challenger team then versus a challenger team now, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now, are you saying with like China and all that?
Yeah, like it's no matter what, it's more beneficial for them to stay in China.
Yeah. Now China's a lot deeper as a league. I agree. Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot deeper, easier pay. It's just it'd be up to them if they want to try to push for worlds, which I mean, I think you could still. Well, I actually do. Yeah, I think you could find some pretty allegedly low tier Chinese teams that could do pretty well here in NA,
Oh, they
or at
absolutely
least
could.
mix things up.
They
Yeah.
could. My point is more that like the the discrepancy between North America and China at the time was not as high as it is now. So,
Oh, so you're saying China was better? Is better now?
yes. Oh, without question. So
Yeah.
now you take a challenger team, even though they are arguably better now and would likely win the entire LCS, if we're being completely honest. They will win the
Mhm.
LCS. Does that mean they will do better internationally? No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
But
maybe not.
I want to keep hearing your argument.
Yeah, actually, it's really I like that you said that. Will they do better? Because that is a part that I talk about makes me happy. So LMQ actually ends up getting the third place win and going to Worlds, and we have a TSM C9 final like almost always. And these are the three teams we end up sending: is TSM, first seed, C9, and LMQ, and Curse ends up getting fourth.
LMQ
Yet
barely
again.
qualifying.
Yep, barely qualifying in a best of. Uh, well, even in here, they lose that one too.
Yeah.
They had the auto bid to semis, and they lose a best of five, and then they win by one game in a best of five.
Yeah.
So barely qualifying, but still overall, completely shifting the way the teams look and the
Yes.
way the playoff scope is. They
Absolutely
moved
yes.
down. They moved down Curse and Dig and CLG. So then we go to Worlds 2014, and the reason I think this Worlds is one of our better performers is because obviously this part right here, TSM and Cloud9 are both in 5th and 8th, and right here we have Fnatic LMQ at 12 and 13. So that is already a pretty big difference in NA overall like ability. Like we're actually up here with all the top Chinese and Korean teams, and then we're way above all the EU teams with this. So
Okay.
it's pretty nice. And then you come down and you look at the group stages, and we have Samsung White and Edward Gaming go on from Group 1. And then Group B is Star Royal and TSM. Now, I know a lot of people are going to try to say this was the year that SK had Svenskeren have the racist name, and so they didn't have him to play. So that's the only reason TSM made it, was because they sent all these, or they were trolling basically in
Yeah,
groups,
they weren't at
and
full
they weren't
strength,
trying hard.
which is somewhat of a valid argument given Svenskeren at the time and what we saw in future
Yeah,
years from him.
for sure. And I think what helps a lot though with kind of hurting that narrative is that TSM did 1-1 with SK, but they also 1-1 with RNG. Well, now RNG.
Yeah.
And they 2-0'd Taipei. So it's not like they just trolled the whole thing. SK got 0-2'd by RNG, 1-1 with Taipei and 1-1 with TSM. So TSM actually was 2 games ahead of SK.
Yes.
So they weren't just playing bad to play bad, which I think helps that argument. And then C9 got out over the time Alliance. Alliance, as we all know, that was the kaboom year. Alliance was touted as the greatest EU team ever. Like, they were supposed to be this unstoppable freight train of Froggen and I think Tabs. Can't remember them all. I know they had Wicked, I believe. They were a
Yeah.
freight train and they got beat by Cloud9. And then you come down, and when we lose in quarters, honestly, our quarters losses aren't that bad. We took games off of the 2 best teams at the tournament at the time. Anyone who
Yeah.
knows their history, I feel like, does not debate that Samsung Blue and White were the greatest, some of, if not the greatest ever, teams to have played at a Worlds. Like, legitimately, there was no question that these two were going to win Worlds.
Yeah,
One of the two.
arguably the most dominant other than like FPX in 2019.
Yeah, like they came in and they were legitimately, this was considered finals. Like, this was that year that SKT and Rocks played in semis, and that was considered a finals. This was too. So this is a really like good look for NA and something to build off of, to be honest. And I think what helped a lot is having that Chinese team that pushed guys to realize, hey, we literally just watched a full NA squad lose their jobs to some Chinese challenger players. And then also, this Chinese challenger team managed to get second place in our league in the first season. And on top of all that, go to Worlds and win one playoff series to get to Worlds, which is huge. They stopped CLG or Curse from going.
Yes.
That's
Now,
an insane difference.
here is a big thing to note. Okay.
Yep.
League obviously was different back then, and if we try to replicate that now in this scenario, because I get what you're saying, where it's increasing the level of competition.
Yep.
The thing you're not considering here is that if you entirely lift the import restriction, it's no longer, hey, this Chinese team is bumping up TSM and Cloud9 as well. We're talking about TSM and Cloud9 getting dropped and picked up for Chinese talent. So it's no long like this isn't like the only teams that are likely going to have either pure American, mostly American, or any conglomerate of that are simply going to be those that can't afford to bring in a Chinese team or a Korean team or even maybe like the top European players. But like let's be honest here. The TSM and Cloud9, like the American teams, quote unquote, that we knew at the time, they would not exist in a current system. Owners are not incentivized to have that.
True. Yeah, that is true. Or at
So
least it would mean if you're gonna have an NA player on your team, he has to be like actually one of the best on the server.
yeah, like
Like, he has to be unstoppably good.
yeah, like I mean, you think about like the bottom half of the LCS, and they're all gone overnight. Like I mean,
Yeah.
just look like even the mid lane talent. Perks is fighting for a job in the LCS if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, Perks is gonna keep his job.
You're telling
Perks will.
if we can pay for everybody on Damwon, SKT, and the rest, you're telling me that we keep Perks over them.
We're not gonna get all of those people. Like, we're
I'm
not.
I'm
I do not believe that 10 LCS teams are going to find a challenger or a Korean or a Chinese mid laner better than Perks.
I think
I
they'd be
do
more
not think
willing
all
to
10
take a
could.
chance because you don't
Maybe,
have
but I
you.
don't see them all finding one.
No, I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying, but Perks goes from being arguably the best mid laner in the LCS to fighting best case scenario
Oh
for
yeah,
top 5 or 6. It
yeah, and that's great.
it's great
Just
and
think
it is.
about how
We'll,
much
we'll
better that means we are.
yes, but I'll go into those issues later. I want to let you finish before I really like dive meta into it.
Yeah, you're good. Well, that was the part that stems from all this is not just all this it does here. It's the idea that these results obviously are decent. Like all I was trying to say with it is that LMQ didn't actually make our region worse at the time. They actually made our region perform a little bit better and honestly play with a bit of a more open mind.
Agreed.
As it seems, I mean, we were able to keep meta at Worlds, which usually is the thing that NA can't do. We can't keep up with the meta and we fall behind in now. I mean, people could say it's just because this C9 and TSM at the time are playing really well, but I think it also helps that they had another team in the league who was pushing them to play faster,
Yeah,
which
there's no
LMQ was.
denying that. I think like anybody will agree that better competition will lead your top teams to be better. And we've
Yep.
had so much
And
proof
then
of that over the years.
these all, I'm honestly not even going to go that deep into them because I don't think I need to anymore because I think we get the point is that all I did was try to save every other year and show how much worse we did, but I don't think it matters, to be honest. We
Yeah.
just inarguably do worse unless we want to count MSI. Uh Obviously every Worlds we suck, and then our best performances were literally in IEM and uh in IEM and that. And then Impulse. I saved this because Team Impulse is the team that takes over for our boys who got dropped. LMQ.
With the exception, notably, of 2018.
Yeah.
2018 being the
Uh
best year, arguably, for North American League of Legends at Worlds ever. Not only because Cloud9 makes it to semifinals, Team Liquid finishes 3-3 and realistically should have made it out of groups. But don't forget that was the same year of Olay basically, falling apart. But that, you can't discount that. But the fact that they still went 3-3 is great. 100 Thieves, we knew they weren't going to do shit at Worlds anyways. They got in by a crappy system, so it just kind of was what it was. But realistically, in terms of the top two teams,
yep.
2018, I would put on equal footing as the year that you're talking about with
Yeah.
LMQ.
Yeah, for sure actually. I'd agree.
The
Yeah.
semifinals
I mean, this is
run
a
by
really good year.
Cloud9 puts us even, or puts them even, despite the fact that we only have one team make it out of groups, relative to two at that same year. Now, why did
Yep.
Cloud9 go so much farther? I mean, we
This.
could probably debate that till the end of time, but I really do think
This.
it's a similar thing to actually what you're arguing with LMQ. I still believe the competition between Blabber and Svenskeren and Golden Glue and it wasn't was it Jensen? No, who was it?
Uh
Who was our mid
no, it
laner?
was Jensen.
It was
I
Jensen.
believe it
Yeah,
was
yeah, it
Jensen.
was Jensen because then Team
Yeah.
Liquid picked up Jensen and dropped Poe Belter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would argue that the competition between them and also Sneaky getting benched made them better. Like that was purely it once again goes to your point that competition, regardless of whether it's within the meta or even within the team itself, will drive a team to
Yep.
be better, without question.
Yep.
I agree with you 100%.
I agree. Yeah. That's like, yeah, I think I didn't even think of this year, and this year is a good year. I think a big thing that helped this year too was, I mean, they just didn't play as good of a, they didn't play a tournament favorite in their quarterfinal match. You know what I mean?
No, I get you, but
They played a freak though.
at the same time, given
But
the
it's
other
still impressive
results
what
that
they did.
oh yeah, given the other results that we saw at the time, I mean, if you go back down to the bracket real quick, uh,
Yeah.
they don't beat KT Rolster. I mean, they dodged a bullet by not getting them. But I do think that Cloud9 can beat EDG. And I do think that Cloud9 potentially stands a chance against G2 or RNG. They
Yep.
were relatively, I'm not saying weak, but they kind of were at the time.
Yeah, they were beatable.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what
if you're
mattered.
using, if we're using results-based analysis here, G2 gets 3-0 by IG in the same way that Fnatic does, in the same way that Cloud9 gets 3-0 by Fnatic. So,
Yeah.
regardless, like, I agree with you on that.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
I cannot wait for this next point. I know what you're gonna say.
Oh, because you see the two tabs.
Yep, I know it's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm about to say my favorite point to say, and the point that is unstoppable. Winning solves a lot of problems, baby, and especially numbers. And right here, I know Tom Brady is a marketable guy, but this is a good thing to help show winning helps a lot. When the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go from losing to winning, they go from number 28 in sales to number 1 in the NFL. I know NA isn't going to get incredible overnight, but I do think if you bring some imports and we start pushing a little harder to win at some of these international events, it helps some of the viewership. It's not going to completely save it. I know it's not going to be incredibly organic growth like a lot of people want, but numbers look good. And
I
they help you at least get to some semblance of a base plate and help you get to some semblance of advertisement and revenue, which they're
I,
currently not at.
I agree with you, but here's the biggest flaw in this argument. When you completely remove the import restriction, you have to do so for every other region.
Yeah.
We are no longer going to be the only ones that get to import literally anybody anywhere. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're a Korean player, do you go to China or do you go to NA?
Yeah, that's a decision they have to make.
It's a very easy decision. They go to China. In most scenarios, the top players go to China. You're closer to
Yep,
home.
probably.
It's a better cultural fit. Uh, Realistically, you have no incentive to come to America because everything else about North America is not changing. So why would you come here versus go there? In addition to that, Europe is also arguably a more suitable option, given that the nature of competition is arguably better there.
Hmm.
And I don't think, like, people think that North America is the region of money and that we could buy these players out. People fail to realize how much money China has.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying we're gonna buy them all out. I legitimately think a 10th place team in China's player is gonna be
I
honestly pretty good.
I think even the
In North
12th place
America.
team in China probably
Yeah.
wins LCS if
The
we're being
enthusiasm
honest.
in Cincinnati must be through the roof
Oh,
hearing this
you
What
might
is
want to mute
news.
this?
that.
And really, Marcus,
Yeah.
like with week
My bad.
one, if Joe
No,
Burrow,
you're good.
But this is
Here's.
where
Oh god.
oh I was gonna say this is where I tried to counter those ideas of it's hard to get players from other regions, and also I want to be able to, well, it's harder to keep organic growth. One, I wanted to be able to counter that with this point, and two, I think this point helps with just because everyone else is getting players as well doesn't mean we won't be able to get some. Now, the other thing will also be obviously some of our teams are richer than others, so that could hurt the league. This point also helps with that, and that is my PSG points, and I'm going to soccer because soccer was the only sport I could think of that you can do what NA can do.
And they have
Which-
like the format is very similar in soccer to what it. Or, I'll
Yes.
call it. I hate calling it soccer. The format in football is very similar to what we experience in League of Legends, as well as the homegrown rules that are in place for most leagues.
Yep.
Very similar to
Mm.
import restrictions.
Now here is Paris Saint Germain. PSG has won the French main league a lot of times since 2012. I mean, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've won 7 out of the last 8. One
Yep.
other team has won, and of that league, and their roster is right here. They have 2 French players on their main team.
Now,
That's it.
what is the French rule in regards to homegrown talent? Do they pay a higher tax? What's the
Honestly, no clue what the rule is for homegrown talent. All I'm looking at is that they had this many imports.
okay?
But what I think is an important distinction to make is that while France has this many imports, right, on their best team in soccer, during this time they also won a World Cup as a country.
Yes.
So their
That
homegrown league and their homegrown infrastructure didn't crumble, at least, under the weight of imports coming into their league on their best
well,
team.
here's the 2 points on that. One, they've won the French league. How many Champions Leagues have they won? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not fully know European football. But if you win your regional league, you
Champions League.
qualify to the Champions League, correct?
Yep.
When's the last time they won the Champions League?
I'm pretty sure they're in the final this year. I can see though. Right here, runners up 2019 to 2020.
Click on this year. I just want to see where they're at this year.
Yeah, I'm checking. I'm just gonna Google it. Champions League.
Because I know Man City's in there, aren't they?
Yeah. No, it's Man City and Chelsea. My bad. Standings or stats. Their matches. All right.
Just go to
here we
standings.
are.
I want to see where they finished.
Yeah,
in the standings.
Oh, well, it shows groups instead of matches.
Did they win? Did they win their group? Because I don't mind them losing to Man City. That's fine, but I want to see how they did in their group.
Oh. Okay.
They. Okay,
Yeah.
so they won their group handily and then just lost to
Man City.
Man City in knockouts. Okay, so that's fine.
Yeah.
So they're doing well, all things considered.
Yep. And French soccer doing pretty good.
Oh, doing phenomenally well.
Yeah, doing well. And I think the reason I used football, or yeah, you're calling it football, so I'll just call it that. Football is because I think it helps a lot in bridging that idea that we have, you know what I mean, of imports can cause a lot of issues. Because obviously it's gonna take a minute to be getting as big of players as Neymar in NA. That level of talent on a North American team. But it has helped at least with keeping.
I mean, I agree with you, but the issue is that you're not Neymar's not going to France, and then all of a sudden he's playing on a dirt field. That's the biggest problem here is that there's so many underlying factors that add into this that separate it from European football that I just don't think. I like the idea of framing the comparison there, but it's just not applicable yet. Until we get it so where Neymar plays in the English Premier League, okay, and then he goes to PSG and plays in the French league. There's not that big of a difference in terms of the underlying factors. Yeah, the competition may change. It might be to compare to League of Legends, it might be a different meta. There might be issues there, but it's not the same as going from Korea or Europe to North America and dealing with solo queue and so many of the issues that we have here. That's the big distinguishing factor in that, in my opinion. That's if it was 1-to-1, yeah, your comparison adds up entirely. And I kind of agree that I think we should almost entirely get rid of the import rule and just do, a homegrown tax. Make sure that you're paying into the North American talent development
Yeah.
system. But you can completely get rid of the import rule at that point. I
Yeah,
agree.
I
I
mean,
agree with you.
that I would say the biggest issue is, do we think fixing solo queue without imports is going to actually fix our problem? Like,
No.
moving the server here. So I would say if they do all those fixes and they can still get some decently big imports to come, I think that's your best chance for North America to win. Unfortunately, people would have to get over the idea of like seeing your countrymen play,
Yeah.
which sucks because that's like 90% of the way Riot kind of, you know, like what is the word, advertised it when it first started, was supposed
Yeah.
to be like, hey man, the whole idea of League is you can climb that ladder and then
Yep.
one day get to play for your team. But unfortunately, North American players just are not stacking up, and there's not a big enough player base, if we're being honest.
Okay. I want to add to that point. Pull up my Twitter.
Oh. Cha. Twitter. And. Oh, oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, okay. It's right there. Alright.
Go
Paul.
to tweets and replies.
Boop.
Scroll down a bit. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Yep.
Bam.
This one?
Right there. Click on the final one.
Yeah.
The final reply to that. And then scroll up a little bit in that chain. Okay.
Here?
Yes. I had this
Okay.
discussion last night on Twitter with some random person that shout out to Sharon Morales. I don't know who you are, but thank you for having this conversation with me. We are a console first region.
Yep.
More so than any other country in the world. The top tweet on this thread shows the exact percentage that we are. I think it's the global average is like 53% PC to every other type of game. Like your 53% of your population globally is a PC player. The rest are either like a hybrid of both console, mobile, and the rest. Do you know what the American percentage is without looking right now?
No.
35%.
Something low. 35?
35% of American gamers are PC gamers.
Makes sense.
We are
Small number.
substantially lower. So console is not only more prevalent. On top of that, almost everybody that plays games knows that those with a Mac don't generally play games. It's not the
Yeah.
best system to play games on. You can play League, but that's about it. And even then, most people that play League still are not playing on a Mac. 72% of international PC sales or international computer sales, whether it's laptops or desktops, are Windows, Chrome, like so basically like PC as we know it. And the remaining 28% are Apple. In North America, it's 51% Apple, 49% everything else.
Dang.
We are like unquestionably, undoubtedly a casual region in terms of gaming.
For sure.
Like I don't know, like you said, I don't think fixing the solo queue and ping issues is ever going to help us overcome some of these numbers. We have to
Yep.
change the entire culture of gaming in the United States if we want us to be anywhere near relevant to any other region.
Yep.
I can't stand the argument of people saying that we need to work harder. I highly disagree. I don't think we need players to force themselves to play 14 hours of solo queue. I think that's dumb. I think that's unhealthy, and it's not good for anybody. I think you can work 9 hours and do it smarter and do it harder than you can 14 hours of just draining yourself. So I don't take
Yeah.
the time investment as an accurate point. But the point that we are not there as a country, and we are so far behind the ball relative to everybody else, is without a doubt the biggest factor in all of this that nobody fucking talks about for some reason.
Yeah. That's actually why I think imports are so big, is because the small amount of skilled players we actually have need to be practicing against other dudes who are better.
Yeah.
Like that's what imports would bring. It wouldn't actually bring like insane, like we're not gonna get every single player isn't gonna be Chovy. That's just not how it is realistically. But
Yeah.
if you can get a few like what's the FPX's Doombees. If you can get a
yeah.
few Doombees who are not always the best, but still really good, then all of a sudden you're looking like you're slowly getting there, and a couple kids like General Sniper who end up playing in Tenacity and Kenvi and Sword who play against these guys might get marginally better. And that's really all you can ask for. Because what you said is the truth. You cannot, if you're not figuring it out in like 10 hours, or honestly 8 hours of solo queue, you're not going to figure it out in 14.
Exactly. Like I'm sorry. Like if
You're good.
if sports have taught me anything, there it is great that there are physical limitations to sports because it prevents people from being able to push their body beyond what they should. You have like basically, everybody can train relatively the same amount of hours. It's a question of how efficient and how good are you with that practice in addition to your God-given talents.
Mm-hmm.
You see in swimming, for example, because I know this system better than any of the rest. You go hard for pretty much the entire season, and you just drain your body. Okay, you push it to the max the entire time, and then come playoffs, or come playoffs, come postseason, whatever it is, you taper. So what that means is like if you're swimming 5 to 7,000 yards average per practice, or even upwards of that, when it comes time for playoffs, you're only swimming about 3 to 4,000 yards, and your intervals decrease. Like you're lessening the load on your body, so that then you can hit it harder during those specific times during playoffs. It's the reverse in esports, where people for some reason hit it less hard during the regular season and then hit it hit it harder in the postseason, which ends up burning teams out quicker, I think. But it it doesn't feel like anybody has properly optimized practice in the LCS or any region anywhere yet. So somebody's going to be able to come in and do that 9 hours of practice versus 14 and do it better than anybody else and win worlds doing it. It's 100% coming at some point.
Yeah. No, it is. Like it's unfortunate, but I mean, to be honest, they just have better, like Korean teams and Chinese teams probably don't play as many games. I mean, look at dudes like Wonder, who isn't playing that many games at all and was stomping EU for quite some time. He's finally starting to taper off now, but he literally had like 2.5 years of dominance.
Yeah.
Not playing League and playing World of Warcraft.
And I hate how people gave him shit because he wasn't playing as good, and I understand that to a certain extent. Like when he started to dip off, like yeah, he had to practice.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, he's a perfect example where you don't have to practice if you understand the game better, if you know the basic mechanics, and you can spend your time wisely.
Yeah.
He's living proof of it. Now, does he play a little bit too little? Yeah, I'd argue so. But
Yeah.
whatever the hell makes the guy happy, I ain't gonna bitch.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Anyone in their right mind would think, oh, he's not playing enough, he's not committed enough. But at the same time, he wins, and like I've always said, baby, winning solves all our problems.
Oh, Paul.
You like that? Got it in. Snuck it in.
Look,
I'm kidding though. I just wanted to say it for the meme.
Let me ask you this: Does winning? So okay, say we remove the import rule, okay, and we import 3 or 4 like really good teams, and we come in. We don't win worlds, okay, but we make it to, like 2 out of 3 of our teams make it out. We make it to semifinals with like 1 or 2 teams. Does that increase viewership for the LCS in the following year?
I depends what teams made it, to be honest. I mean, it depends what teams made it, and I would say yes in the sense of people like to watch League in their time zone, and if you give them if they think that what they're watching is quality content, I think they'll tune in, regardless of the fact that 8 of the 10 players could be not American.
I'm torn on my answer for that.
Yeah, I mean that's a hard question.
I agree with you to a certain extent. What I'm not sure on, and what I'm not fully bought into, is I don't know how the national pride part of this plays in. Because obviously with Europe, we're seeing a massive push for, like homegrown talent. We want it to be European, etc. That's fine, but that doesn't have to be the answer. As you brought up with PSG, the club is the local part. The club is the part that keeps people grounded that, yes, this is my local team for this area. There's that locality to it. It doesn't matter who the players are. And, I think it was Joe from NRG said, he couldn't give a shit where the quarterback from the Bears is from, whether he's from the U.S. or anywhere else. So long as the Bears win, that's all that he cares about. And he's not wrong. But the difference is that those leagues are set up so that the locality of it means something. And people are so anti-localization in esports right now that it screws everybody. Like, realistically, I think here's my ideal scenario in the case that we remove the import rule. All 10 teams are assigned to a region within the U.S. They can pick a city. I don't care, but nevertheless, they're assigned to a region. Okay?
Yep.
And they have to grow out that region. You have to consistently hold events. Like, you have to, have watch parties in your city every week. You have to invest a lot of time and a lot of talent into developing these local systems. That way, doesn't matter whether you have 5 Korean or 5 Chinese players, okay? They don't even have to really speak your language at all or even do any content. But so long as you're giving people an opportunity to cheer for their team around them, that's all that matters. Because me and you going to a bar to discuss this is going to mean more than seeing a simple interview with Double Lift because he's from America and from our team. If that makes sense.
No, yeah, it does. I think that's a huge display of that too. That would help with the language barrier answer as well. Or a good example is baseball. Baseball fans do not have an issue with half their team speaking Spanish if they're winning. And they're all local. They just support the team because the team is there. And yeah, a few of their guys speak Spanish or speak Japanese, but they're still supporting them because the players are good.
Because
They're
you can go to the stadium and watch them. And if I'm from San Diego, I can go to a Padres game and cheer for my team regardless of who's on it.
Yep.
If I'm a TSM fan, I have nowhere to watch these people. I have nowhere where I can consistently do this. So yeah, it means a lot more because that element's not there. Yeah. And I think the Overwatch is giving such a shitty reputation to localization because the game itself is ass. But if you I swear to God, give me Overwatch's system in League of Legends for the LCS, it will succeed like nobody's business. I promise, because you can keep the international scale of things. Like I don't know how TSM brands it. That's a tough one for them. But maybe the Tulsa something. Tulsa solo. I don't fucking know. That's an off the wall example.
They'd be Golden State. They'd be Golden State.
Well, the Golden Guardians would try and claim Golden State. I think TSM would have rights to LA, realistically.
Probably, yeah, but it'd have to be LA or Oakland.
Yeah, but point being, imagine that, and then you consistently have things to go to. New York, I don't fucking want CLG, so get them the fuck out of New York. but get me. I
You're
don't
getting
know.
them.
No, like
You're
give
getting
me
them.
sell them,
Yes,
please.
you
Give me
are.
if you. I swear to God, you give me a phase team that's based out of New York. I will. I can't stand FaZe, but I will cheer for them because they're my New York team. I will invest into the system.
I'm
I'll go to
sorry.
all the watch parties. I'll do everything. I don't care. Don't
You
you
know who
dare
was
try and
gonna.
throw CLG on me, you dick.
you, I didn't decide this.
Neither did
It doesn't
I.
matter. It doesn't matter who I get. I'd have to cheer for the Chicago team, and I'm not doing that. I'm just sticking with TSM.
But that's what I'm saying. Here's the thing though. Like there will still be people like that. The localization element of this is not for you and I. It's not for
I
the
know
people that are
for
already
everybody
existing
else.
within the scene. It's the new fans that will develop over time by creating
Yep.
those experiences. Like think about this. You browse TikTok a good bit. Did you see what happened with all the Phoenix sports teams and a couple that went on a date there?
No.
So a
No.
friend,
Oh yes, the ones that the guy who like outed them at a Diamondbacks game, and then
yeah,
all that.
and then they got
Yeah.
invited to every other sports team in the area.
Yep.
It's like that right there. That is a memory that they will never forget. Ever. And they're gonna go back to games. They might buy merchandise. They might do a bunch of our stuff there just because that one single memory forever cemented it for them.
Yep.
You can't do that in esports right now. And I don't care how much gamers want to say that they want to remain solo and don't want to, interact with other people and just want to relax in their thing. Bullshit. Everybody wants to be social. Everybody wants to be out with friends and with people that they like and enjoy. And I promise you,
Yeah.
you give them the opportunity to over time, they will. 100%.
For sure. They probably will. Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
localization would take quite a long time. I feel like, but it
yeah,
would.
but
It'd
we
be
got
cool.
time. We have all the time in the world. It's a franchise system. League of Legends isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, and China does it.
Who is Thomas Middleditch?
I don't know why.
Somebody in the chat named Cletus from the Holler said Thomas Middleditch, is this you? I don't know if that's an IRL reference or a celebrity reference, but I wasn't sure if you knew off the top of your head.
No, I don't.
I have a feeling it might be an insult. I don't know. Can't tell.
Let me look him up. Could be a serial killer.
Very well could
No,
be.
he's
I
a.
wouldn't.
No, it's actually not. Wow, the guy actually not bad. Let me pull it on the main screen. This is Thomas Milton. Not a bad call.
Whoa.
Not
Whoa
a bad
now.
call.
Whoa now.
Not a bad call.
Okay.
Just saying.
You know what?
That's me. That's me.
Wow.
Not a bad call.
Not
Come on.
horrible.
Dude, yeah, I saw you and I was like, oh damn, he looks like that dude from Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
I've been told I've been told I sound like Shroud. I look a little bit like Owen Wilson due to the big ass nose. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've heard.
I think you look pretty spot on with Tommy. I think you could be like a stunt double for him. I don't think he does a lot of stunts, but
I'm 6'4",
You could
175. I will be nowhere near a stunt at all. A stiff wind can snap me in half. I don't think I need to take any more risks in that regard.
good enough, good enough.
Thank you for tuning into the stream, though.
Oh yeah, man, dude. Every time I see you, I'm gonna jump on, man. Just get the numbers up, dude. Gotta pump. Friends of friends, man. Friends of friends.
Appreciate it.
True.
And you get to listen to Paul try and convince himself that when TSM imports 5 players, that all of a sudden he's still going to be happy.
Paul's cool as shit, though, dude.
What do you mean?
He's like my
If they're
boy.
winning, why wouldn't I be happy?
Because they're going to import 5 players, they're going to import the wrong 5 players, and they're going to implode.
If they implode, then I'd be disappointed, but I would be disappointed if they imploded with 5 and 8 players too.
Okay. You know what I'm really curious to see with this upcoming split? How many
What?
people cheer for 100 Thieves and how many people cheer against 100 Thieves?
Why?
They're an all import roster.
Nobody
fi-
cares.
All 5 players.
Yeah, but does anybody care?
I think this split they're going to.
Oh,
It seems like
well,
there is a real sentiment in the community that I mean G-Bay's tweet kind of just spells it all out where people just want LCS import rosters to fail.
okay, well, let me know how the hit me up with the record of Dignitas, and I'll let you know why teams aren't running 5 NA players.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. We don't have the
I
talent
know,
pipeline
I
to
know.
do anything.
I'm saying for those people, like,
My
like, what do they want?
my question to G-Bay would be this. Okay. And I love his content. I love the guy. But my question to him would be if we were to just nuke it all and say, screw the import rule, it has to be either 1 import or 2, and it's like a hard line of like no grandfathering, no something like that. I know he's willing to watch a league of that. But does he actually think that the majority of league fans are going to be willing to watch that? Because I
No.
don't think they will. I really don't.
I think a big thing too with importing imported teams that people are undervaluing is importing their coaches. That
Oh,
is
yeah.
huge. People are sitting here like, oh man, we need imported teams. I told this to Brandon yesterday. I think one of the greatest league coaches ever for the egos he had to mesh was Delior. And Delior was hated. Why? Because he was strict. And that's what everyone said they hated him for. But you know what League needs? It needs strict. Nobody likes Kona. Kokona is pretty strict. He literally makes players play certain champions that they're unwilling to play and tells them to like get over it.
You're
And
goddamn right.
that's how it should be. Because you have to be able to learn something. And right now, look at what happens when your team isn't willing to tell their player to go learn something. I think Blabber and Rumble is the greatest example I could ever give of anything to show what happens when your coach isn't willing to push his players to the max on champions.
So I'm curious to know whether you agree with this or not then. Was Reapered ahead of his time in 2018, not only doing the actions that he did with benching all of his players, but despite them not winning the LCS, he would constantly force them to pick unique champions that were kind of, meta breaking to a certain extent. But his players didn't play them well, and they consistently lost in playoffs because of that. Do you
Yeah.
think, was he ahead of his time in the sense that he didn't give a shit? He's forcing his players to play it, and if they're happy with mediocrity, then he drop them in the future. He drop them in future splits, or they pick it up and they learn.
I think he was. I don't think he was ahead of his time. I think he was. Well, yeah, actually, he probably was, but he was gapped by his skill, like the skill of his players that he had.
Yeah.
And there was nothing he could do to make him better because he realized we have to learn these champions or we're probably going to lose. And when he tried to force his players to learn them and they couldn't learn them, he was like, well, if winning an A isn't the goal, which it never is, because does anyone really remember who won LCS titles? I mean, not really. They just remember Worlds at the end of the day and where you placed.
I feel like
And
more people do remember LCS titles than you think, but I feel like the value of those LCS titles has definitely decreased over time.
yeah, I mean, yeah, because the only reason I'm jaded to it is because TSM has a lot of titles and nobody cares anymore. Like,
Unfortunately because they fell out of relevancy. But like Team Liquid having 4 titles back to back to back to back,
yeah,
that's not insignificant. And
no,
you
and
throw in the MSI final with that, you throw in relatively good performances despite them not getting out of groups at any of the worlds that they participated in.
yeah,
I mean, I think people still remember that to a certain extent. But I will say this because it's a very interesting point as well. 2018 Worlds, where Cloud9 did make that run, what were the picks that were meta?
I don't remember, but I know Balls played Darius, which was like off. Which was
2018, not 2013.
no Balls
Balls
played Darius, didn't he? Or was Balls
28.
not on that team?
No, it was.
Oh shoot, you're
we're
right.
we're
Licorice
talking.
was there. Oh
Yeah, we're
shoot.
talking.
Oh my gosh, my brain is way back. No,
Here's the
yeah,
answer for it.
he played
The
Gnar, right?
the three most common picks from that Worlds were Lissandra, Aurelia, and Nocturne. The
Ah,
three champions that are fairly basic in how they play, and champions that North America had already picked up relatively well.
mm-hmm.
I mean, most notably, you think, oh, Ornn was the other pick that like Licorice was very good on, but like North America has had a lot of practice on picks like Ornn.
True.
You compare that to MSI this year, and you compare that to Worlds of last year, and we just can't adapt. Like we cannot pick up the champions quick enough. We can't do it. So then you saw Dom and LS say that North America needs to play their style and play it well. Well, the problem was the advantages that got exploited by playing our champions really well. We'd already given up time on perfecting that by trying to play these new champions, and it cucked us.
Yeah,
Is that double-edged sword?
You're not wrong. And also they were, I mean, the champion, they literally only had to pick up Rumble. Like, at MSI this year. Like, if they could have figured out Rumble, I think it would have solved a lot of their problems for pick ban. Because they were having to either ban or let Rumble go in a lot of games where they shouldn't have had to, you know what I mean?
My biggest problem is that they
yeah,
did
look.
not play topside.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, that's true.
in the games that matter, in the most critical game that mattered, okay, they have to beat Pentanet before anything else. What do they put Fudge on? Scion.
Yeah, you're right.
They put him on goddamn Scion. And they let the weakest player on the team that entire tournament of perks play another marksman.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if he whiffs 5 more Orianna ults. That's fine. I'd rather him whiff that and still give Fudge a carry, because at least Fudge stands a chance. Hell,
Yep.
put perks on Galio. Put him on something that just protects Fudge. Like, I'm sorry, they did not adapt to their win conditions at all this tournament, and because of that, you kept coin flipping it, and it was like, okay, is Perks gonna play well this game, and is Blabber gonna play well this game?
Yep.
And it didn't work ever.
No, it didn't. You're right.
The counter. Oh, god.
Oh, I was gonna say, and they also like did not even try to go back to their old stuff until like the very end of the tourney, they were basically out of the tourney when they decided to start playing all the old champions like Lilia and all that in volley, and it took 5 bans from the other team to force them to put Blabber on a comfort pick.
Yeah.
To at least try to comfort him.
And the one counterpoint that people will bring up, and realistically should bring up, is there was the Jace game where Fudge nearly carried. I don't know if you remember that. He got like a double kill in like a bush bot lane. I'm not sure if that was against like Damwon or somebody else. But they technically had him on a carry. The problem was Cloud9, I don't think, played around him effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here's my question to you: going into summer split, what if you're a head coach of Cloud9? What do you want to see happen? Like, what are you prepping for Worlds?
Oh man, for Worlds, I mean, low key, you have to see that Blabber can play other champions. I don't know. It's really all you can do. I mean, what else do you do?
I think you let
You're held back.
I think you force every game. You force Fudge on a carry.
Okay.
And you force people to play around that style. I don't think
Yeah.
like Perks is never going to be that carry. He's too supportive of a mid laner. Let him play a do and be style, and just let top jungle pick carry picks.
True.
Let Blabber try and smash jungle. Let Fudge try and smash top. If he ints, that's fine. But let him develop. He has proven at MSI that he can be a top 2 mid laner in the tournament. That he can beat the Korean top laners. He can beat the European top laners and smash them. There is no reason why he should not be playing carries on a consistent basis and learning how to play that, because that's going to be more relevant than picking Prio for Blabber and picking Prio for bot lane.
That's why I'm still pretty in on 100 Thieves and TSM and TL, because I'm not as worried about them as other people, I think. And C9, like, or I'm not of the mind that it's only C9 and TL that are good. I think 100 Thieves and TSM can still do stuff, and that's because TSM's been literally theory crafting all split long in spring, and 100 Thieves just got a better mid laner to add to a roster that tries to play aggressive. So
Agreed.
that, to me, it's just going to be a more aggressive season, and teams are going to be really hard trying to win games fast, because I think Bjergsen, of all people too, as a coach, realizes you can't win in this style, and Reapered, we know how he is as a coach, so he's not going to let his team just scale all day and lose. So you're going to see more aggressive coaching, at least.
I agree. And I hope we have to see results this year at Worlds. It's going to kill us if we don't.
I mean, yeah, but we've been. That's, I mean, that's why it's either results now or import rule is gone. That's legitimately what I think is gonna happen.
I agree. You know,
It's results or the import rule's gone.
I must say it makes me excited though to start, like, as much as I complain about the import rule possibly going away, at the same time, I don't want to say I'm for it, because I'm not. I think you should invest into the talent that we have here and develop the ecosystems here to make League of Legends the most played game in North America, make PC gaming the most played system in North America.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're not going to do that, if we're not going to change it, then yeah, I think your methods actually might be right. And I legitimately do think and agree with you that removing the import restriction might be the best thing for the international, or not for the international, for the North American League scene. Will that be fair to every other region? No.
No.
Europe gets hurt by that a lot more than any other region in the world. I would not be surprised if you saw G2, because they're already rumored, or they're already putting their headquarters in New York City. I would not be surprised if you saw G2 try and get into the LCS and leave the LEC. It's a much
That's
easier
cool
market to
idea.
capitalize on.
That'd be
And
a cool idea.
I mean, I hate to say it, but you know, if the import restrictions are open for everybody, okay, and you have the Chinese and Korean environments where the competition is going to be the highest out of any region, and the solo queue is the best, and then you have the North American region where the lifestyle is going to be better than any other region, and the play might not be as good, but it's still going to be relaxing, it's going to be fun, and you can guarantee you're going to get paid, and you can guarantee you're going to get entertainment. Where does that leave Europe? Right in the middle. It's right in the middle where they have really good gameplay, but they don't pay as high of salaries, and your work-life balance isn't as good as the American players.
Yeah.
It's one of those that, like, I could by all means, they could probably continue on as is because they have a phenomenal, ecosystem underneath them.
Yeah.
But when every other region can just poach away all your players like that.
I mean, they're a massive player base. So
3
they have
million.
2 servers. Yeah. And they also have the other one. Like
Well, no,
Nordic.
that's it. I mean, they're small enough to the point where it's not as relevant.
It's not. Oh, okay. But I just meant they have that. And they also have Turkey, So they're pretty big, and they have a lot to steal from as well. But that will be an interesting point of contention: is how many players can NA steal before it's too many. And
Agreed.
it's really gonna be tough, though. I hate to say it, because a lot of NA players are gonna lose their jobs, but I mean, they're gonna probably win more. So it's like,
Here's the
what
thing,
do
though.
you
Do you actually feel bad for these NA players losing their jobs?
I mean, no, because if they should never had the job in the first place, they're getting it off of a system that rewards them for being born in the right place. That's
Agreed.
it. I
Exactly.
don't really feel bad for them. I just know people want you to feel bad for them, but it's how it is. The lowest. I mean, who's watching the 8 through 10 seed games? Honestly, 7 back. Who are those teams even?
Nobody cares.
Like, yeah, usually I forget Golden Guardians exists until they play the team I like.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now, I
Same
granted,
with Immortals.
I followed them simply because I wanted to see how Niles and Iconic would do coming from the collegiate scene. So
Yeah,
I was a little bit different, and I'll acknowledge that. But
that went rough.
yeah, I tell you what, I'm excited for more than anything, though, and to those tuning in to stream that are not direct friends with Paul and I or haven't seen any announcements. Starting after MSI, we are going to be covering Vietnam in the VCS. My favorite organization of NRG picked up a team, and we are going to be doing a weekly podcast on Sundays at probably like 9 or 10 o'clock. Those details will be ironed out later. I forced Paul to get a mic, so he's going to have really high audio quality. And yeah, I'm excited to dive into a region, and I didn't tell you this, but I might actually try and co-stream some of the games. Sometimes if I'm up for it on like a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday morning, and NRG's playing, I'm probably gonna try and co-stream it. But I cannot wait to dive into like a true emerging minor region, and actually have
Yeah.
a team within it as well. I'm beyond hyped.
Yeah, and I've never watched VCS that hard other than really watching Levi as hard as I do. So
And
I'm
now
pumped.
he's on our team.
Yep, yep. I can just follow Levi around. I don't just have to keep watching highlights of oh, why do I forget his name? The guy who went to Suning. Holy cow.
I don't
The
remember.
jungler. I don't know why his name slipped my mind. Here's what it is.
Let me
I liked
let me-
him. I like him a lot. But he's struggling this year, so it's whatever.
SOFM.
Yes, SOFM. I love him. Absolutely love him. But he's made me sad. So back to Levi we go, baby. NRG fans, let's go.
I'm
And am I
I'm
watching any other VCS team? Maybe.
So I actually I started my VCS watching today. The promotion tournament to the league is happening this
Oh,
weekend, and
they
I was
still have
watching.
one?
Yes, it's still promotion relegation,
That's
and
cool.
the team. Who was I watching? The abbreviation was BTS. That's why it stood out in my mind. VCS Summer
Okay.
2020. Uh, it was. Wait, why is this not? Hang on, I'm trying to see.
That's pretty hype.
Why am I not? Summer promotion. Load this up. Okay, there it was. So yeah, BTS lost to LX. It was Luxury Esports. They were the 8th place team from this past year. Names. The names I find hilarious to learn all this again. It's like learning the LCS again. So it was Coded, Killer Queen, Blazes, Shine, and Bisbo.
Okay.
Some bombing ass names, but they qualified, and then the second qualification match between BTS and Box Gaming takes place, I think, tomorrow.
All right. I'll watch that one.
Sorry. Wait. Yeah. Tomorrow at I think is that 4 a.m. Yeah,
I'll watch the highlights.
I think it's 4 a.m. So yeah, don't worry about watching it. I threw it on while I was at work.
Yep,
But
I'll watch the VOD.
all I give a shit about more than anything for now, and it's incredibly artificial, but I don't care, is I want to smash Team Lick or Team Secret into the ground. Cause fuck Team Secret.
What the heck was that guy's? Oh, that was the other one. Yeah, Team Secret. Wait, who are they? Why do you care about them?
Because I know them from Dota. They're like an
Yeah,
incredibly good
that's
Dota
sick.
team, and I don't want them to be good in League of Legends as well. So fuck them.
Oh, I knew their name. I just couldn't think of why we're supposed to hate them.
You don't
Makes
have to
sense.
hate them, but I'm gonna hate them. They're the other like North America. They're like the other Western organization that's in the VCS, and it's like,
Makes-
nah, screw you. Like I want to be the best of the Western, the best of the West of the East.
They actually have a pretty cool team picture.
They do. That's the shitty part.
I like it.
Wait, are you looking at the team picture on LOL fandom or Gamepedia?
Yeah, little fandom.
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
It's a good team picture.
It's a good team picture, but it's not a better team picture than
Yeah, that's
Gam,
not bad.
aka
Just saying, it's pretty good.
NRG. Which I
True.
still don't know what the branding is going to be. Is it going to be NRG Asia? Like, is that going to be the team name, or is it going to be? I don't know. We'll see. Nevertheless, I'm curious because we have two bot laners. Or I don't know why we have two bot laners, but we do.
What? They have two ADCs?
Yeah, Easy Love and Style.
Are they both good?
I have no clue.
Yeah, I
Like
was gonna say, I don't-
that's the weird part about this is I have no clue on any of this. So Style looks like he joined at the end of last year on December 1st. And that looks like it's about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, because then Easy Love has been a part of the organization for a while. So, yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I don't know. I got to get an explanation as to why they have two ADCs because that's like the one role that you would not expect to have two of.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like a double lift tactical situation. Like Easy Love is like the
Styles the
OG.
one who plays. So yeah, Easy Love's the one who doesn't.
Oh, Easy Love is not playing?
Yeah, Styles the one who plays.
Okay, Style is 3 years younger. He's 19.
Really?
Easy Love is 23.
Is he just held in contract? Like hell or something?
I don't know.
We'll know more as it goes.
We'll figure it out as time goes on.
Yup.
Yeah. Any final words before I cut off the podcast audio and switch over to start playing some League of Legends? Anything you got to say to the people in chat?
No, to be honest, other than TSM win. Hashtag.
And 100 Thieves is going to kick TSM's ass since we're still only guaranteed to have 3 seeds going into Worlds. So this-
TL's not gonna go. There's
really,
your hot take. Yep, they
I-
play too slow.
I think you are so far wrong on that. I have
There's a hot take.
I have a lot of confidence and faith in chat.
Nope, not good enough. And
Yeah.
you'll have to tune in for why.
Yeah, catch us on the next episode. Have a good one, everybody.